The beginning of Lent is a good time to talk about confirmation because, traditionally people were catechized, that is, that they were taught about the church during the season of Lent, and then they would join the church at Easter. Now, from what I've read about how that happened, probably some of the practices that they had in the early church are things that Presbyterians in central Illinois would not want to do in order to join the church. For instance, they would stay up all night long on the night before Easter, praying and singing and finishing all of their education about becoming a church member. And then they would leave behind their old clothes and be baptized and then be clothed anew. I just can't see very many Presbyterians in central Illinois wanting to go through all of that in order to join the church. But this is a time when we talk especially about young people joining the church and going through confirmation class. So I thought I would remind you of a couple of things that I think are kind of good ideas about confirmation class. First of all, you know why we do confirmation when kids are 12 or 13 or 14 years old in general. It's because their brains are at a point when they can begin to think in non-concrete ways when they reach that age. And of course, the concepts that we talk about in our faith, in our religion, are in many ways not concrete kind of thoughts. They need to be able to make connections between things. And so we wait until they're about that age in order to have them go through confirmation class. You know some of the jokes, of course, about confirmation. Oh, there's one that is some pastors talking about how to get rid of bats in their churches. And somebody says, well, I'd shoot them, except that I would be afraid to shoot the stained glass windows. And somebody else says, well, I was going to put out poison for the bats, but then I found out that they're an endangered species. And then the third pastor in the group says, I know how to get rid of them. Let's just have them go through confirmation class and then we'll never see them again. Well, hopefully your confirmation class with your 12 and 13 and 14-year-olds this year will not be like that. Here are a couple things that I've done as a pastor with confirmands that you might want to consider with your kids this year. First of all, you may have them meet with the session and talk about their own faith, maybe even write a statement of faith and share it with the session. Well, here's my suggestion about that. Make sure that you have your session members do exactly whatever it is that you are requiring those kids to do. We certainly don't want to expect something of a 13-year-old that we don't expect of one of the spiritual leaders of the church. It also gives them something to talk about when they meet together. And that's the other suggestion that I have for you. Oh, probably more than a decade ago when I was a pastor, my husband and I, who were co-pastors, began doing something with our confirmands that involved someone else in the church as well. We had a woman who loved to sew, and so we would have her make white stoles for the kids, like the stoles that pastors wear, plain white stoles, and then those confirmands would work with their parents and with their spiritual mentors to fill that stole with pictures of things any way they wanted to put them on the stole that told the story of their life and their faith. Then they bring that to the session meeting as well, and they, again, have something to talk with the elders about. Why do you have a soccer ball there, or a musical note, or why do you have a particular biblical quote on there? It gives them something to talk about, and it engages their minds in a way that just writing a statement of faith doesn't do. Then on Confirmation Sunday, their spiritual mentors put those stoles on the confirmands as they join the church as a symbol that they have taken for themselves the yoke of Christ. I hope you have some students that you're working with to help them understand their own faith in a new way. And I hope that you will share some of your creative ideas about how to bring these new disciples into the faith so that they can say once and for all that Jesus Christ is their Lord and Savior, that they trust Him, and that they intend to be His disciple.